before we had talked about agreements we've all made before we took physical birth. And the vast majority, went along with it. But then this question came up, and some people were actually indignant, kind of angry at me because how dare I bring up something? I had a horrible childhood, and it was terrible. I would never pick that kind of stuff, and they kind of left it at that. But that shows a big misunderstanding. Because in the afterlife, by the way, we're 9 times more wise, more intelligent, more sensitive. So we can see everything, and we can see what are the best ways to learn whatever spiritual truths we need to learn. And so our next life, we may willingly, now it's not our ego who's choosing this now. That's a big mistake. No, it's our higher self, our illumined self is pushing us to really wake up to what our true nature is. We're God. We dream that we are not. Wake up. So our illumined self will give us situations so we can learn this little truth. So I know, like in my case, I had a very difficult childhood, as I've posted, and foster homes, beatings. For the first 40 years of my life, it was just suffering. Why am I even alive? It's just unrelenting ordeals, one thing after another. Okay, then when I got involved with shamanic practices, I had a chance to see one of the deals I made before I took physical birth, and there was my father. And so I said to my father, Pop, because of you not being around at home, you caused our whole family just immeasurable suffering. You just weren't there doing your job. And for myself, I suffered for decades because of that. And so he listened, and then he told me, that's because you forgot the deal we made before physical birth. And I said, what's that? He says, the deal was, I was to give you birth. I was not to give you life. For the next lifetime, you knew you wanted to be an artist, and you knew you wanted to be a seeker spiritually, and you knew you had to have an independent mind to do that. And me not being around was all part of the deal. Boy, that got me thinking, and then it was true. Because of all the deprivations and sufferings I had to go through when I was young, it drove me to do whatever it took to end my suffering, either die or, end my sufferings. And that drove me into the spiritual path, which since then has yielded so many treasures that I can say to all that adversity, thank you, adversity, for kicking me on to the spiritual path. And so that made sense, the deal I made before I took physical birth.